Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on, I guess, just the Arrowverse as a whole, not any one specific show. So we got to see the return of Stephen Amell's return to, does that make sense? We got the return of Stephen Amell's return? I guess that makes sense. Let's just go with it. To the Arrowverse last week in episode 9 of The Flash's 9th and final season, in an episode that also featured the returns of Wally West, Diggle, and of course Bloodwork as well. Of course, this return for Stephen Amell's Oliver Queen was the first time we'd seen him since the ending of Arrow's 8-season run a few years back, just after Crisis. So his return was a welcome, sight, seeing we're at the end of the Arrowverse's run on TV after over a decade on air. But as you would expect, with Stephen coming back, he did some interviews with various outlets leading up to the episode, but the one we are picking from is the interview he did with TV Line in the lead up to the episode coming out. But let's go over that and what he had to say, because there's some interesting things in there. But definitely let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below over what is said in this little interview piece, and also what we go over afterwards. Very curious to hear what you guys have to say, and if you want to drop a like on the video, do that as well. Stephen Amell firmly believes he still has some arrows left in his quiver. This week on the CW's The Flash, Amell of course reprised his role as Oliver Queen / Spectre / Green Arrow more than 3 years after the Arrowverse's flagship series wrapped its 8-season 170 episode run. Going back and doing that was really exciting, but also by the end of the second night filming those scenes, I was like, okay, that's enough, he told TV Line, laughing. Yet when TV Line asked Amell if he now feels as if he has truly suited up for the very last time as the Emerald Archer, he was quick to say, I don't think so. So of course that makes you instantly go, oh, okay, that's interesting. What does he mean by that? Has he heard anything? Now, of course, I don't think the answer to whether he's heard anything is yes. I don't think that's the case, but it's more like a gut feeling like, I don't think that's the end. Well, at least I don't want it to be the end. But, if that's not it, what format would he return again if that happened? What would be the next stage? Well, they go on to talk about that. Any round as Green Arrow, though, would have to have a more finite timetable. We had a good run on the CW in the Arrowverse, Amell noted, but the idea of 22 or 23 episodes a year, that's a very specific way to make television with the ad breaks and all those things. I had my fill of playing Arrow in that particular medium. But the idea of going back and doing something on a limited basis or doing a movie is absolutely of interest to Amell, he said. As is having Oliver deliver more brutal beatdowns. Reflecting on the fight sequences shown in new flashbacks in Arrow's final hour and maybe exaggerating a smidgen, Amell said, we had scenes in our series finale where I must have killed like 100 people, but we were never allowed to show any blood. A lot of this hand-to-hand stuff can pack so much more of a punch if we can have a little more freedom in terms of what we can show, as would be the case with a streaming series or a DC movie, for example. So the big thing of note that's really highlighted by Stephen earlier on, about in the middle section if you want to put it, of that interview, is the fact that not just like if they did anything else with these characters in the Arrowverse going forward, but I think as a whole, like a lot of the 22, 23 episodes with network TV is pretty much gone now, because even when the shows go to streaming afterwards, the streamers don't really want that many episodes because it can be hard to contain people, especially nowadays, for that many episodes a season. Some people still love it, but it's usually with shows that they've already been watching for 3 or 4 years that had that amount of episodes. But a new thing coming in, having that many episodes sometimes isn't the best thing nowadays. But, 10, 13 episodes is probably the sweet and the perfect number. But of course, then Stephen does bring up, it could be on a limited basis, like a limited 10, 13, maybe 8 episode series, or maybe a movie. And that is really where we jump into the next portion of this video. And that is an Arrowverse movie potentially, or like a future thing potentially, if that was, a possibility. So I guess the first question around this is, would it be a good idea? And I guess it depends on what the format is. I think the two that make the most sense if you're going to do anything with this, and I guess make it more likely to happen, are either a streaming movie or a movie made for TV that would be on a streamer, obviously, or a limited series. Like 8, 10, 13 episodes. Probably like 8 or 10 is probably the sweet number. Could be 4 or 5. That might actually be the sweet number. Who knows? But I think something like a theater release would be like, you never know, because you don't know potential audience. Like they think, you see movies come out of the time where they think they'll spend $100, $200 million making the movie, thinking, oh, this will easily make 500, 600, 800 million, $1 billion or something in the theater. And it doesn't even make as much as the movie costs to make, because, you just don't know what the audience is and whether they feel like it's worth going to the theater to watch. So a theater release would be a big jump in my opinion if they made a movie for that. Though it could be successful, who knows? But I think the most likely option to do anything like this and actually potentially have it be some sort of a reality would be something on HBO Max, or I guess Max as they're going to be calling it, in like a limited series format or a streaming movie. I think limited series would be the way I would go, but I think a streaming movie would be pretty cool, just so you could actually just say there's an Arrowverse movie. That'd be pretty cool. Not obviously to stress, because I know someone's going to be in the comments going, well, Pagey, that's never going to happen. We're talking about hypotheticals. We're talking about hypothetical situations and just, oh, what if? What if they did this? What could it be? So just calm down. I know there's going to be that one dude. They might have already left the comment. If you see that comment in there, just go, you're that one dude. Congratulations. You did it. But what would the movie be or the limited series? If a limited series or a movie and a continuation on the Arrowverse lore or the universe and the canon, what would the story be? Now, I think I've got like this broken up into just two sections. Stuff that we've actually heard ideas about in the past, and one that was more something that was planned, I guess, and was going to happen and then was scrapped. I think that's probably the best way to put it, but they're split up into two different portions if you want to put it. So we'll go over the meat and potatoes, or the bigger one that was actually only talked about like a handful of months ago, roughly, because it had to do more with the future of the Flash, but it did tie in other elements of the Arrowverse as well. And this is that, the story in this Arrowverse movie or limited series could be one of the potential season 10 pitches that we heard Eric Wallace, the showrunner for the Flash, talk about. That would have, involved the Justice League of Earth Prime. So it's not just involving Flash characters. They were pretty much pure Arrowverse stories that reached all from different shows from the Arrowverse that existed there. Now, one of these was Despero returning to Earth after Armageddon. Of course, we saw what happened. He went back to his, world in space after that battle with the Flash at the end, and that was like a misdirect. He was meant to be like, oh, is he the villain of Armageddon? But really it was Reverse Flash. But it was said by Eric Wallace that Despero would return with some fellow alien buddies to cause some havoc. And this would have been pretty cool to see. There wasn't really too much given in regards to who the other aliens would have been, but you think they would have been like from other Earths or other worlds or planets, might I say. So they look different. They all weren't just looking like Despero. They were other aliens. So that sounds like it could have been a pretty cool thing, and would require, your Green Arrow to potentially be there or something like that. The only, I guess, elephant in the room would be the whole, oh, you're dead thing, but then they could do what they did in the recent episode of The Flash, and maybe the multiverse is at risk or something like that, or just Earth Prime specifically, so Oliver comes back as Spectre to deal with that. Now, another was Blackest Night, which once again, you could involve Green Arrow, but he's actually brought back to life as like a zombie sort of thing. Blackest Night, I think, is one that's hard because even though Despero's stuff, connects to something that happened on The Flash, you could easily just do like a 30-second flashback sequence which shows that fight with the Flash and then where Despero goes and his actions afterwards, and it connects it all and explains it. You don't really have to explain too much of Armageddon to understand Despero. But with Blackest Night, and also you don't have too much of a connection to other events in the Arrowverse, but with Blackest Night, if you see like a handful of random dead people come back that have, that obviously died in the history of the Arrowverse, you'd have to watch all the shows or most of the shows to get it. So that might be more of a fan-centered one than something accessible to just your general person that wants to watch something. But I think the Despero and Friends Attack seems more fitting out of these two if you're going to choose one. But the one that would probably be the best if there is a gap before this hypothetical situation thing and hypothetically happening would be that Forever War that's been talked about. Now, this would possibly allow time travel to allow us to meet multiple versions of characters, and characters that wouldn't exist for years in the future potentially, or existed years in the past that we didn't get to meet, and get to revisit those, also past versions of characters as well, ones that have died. Which would allow like Oliver Queen's Green Arrow to slot in as well, but then also maybe see him as Spectre in the future also. So it would be like Crisis on Infinite Earths, but timeline-wise rather than multiverse. This, of course, was the storyline that had the elusive Chronarch as the villain that was teased and mentioned by Abracadabra. So that would have been pretty cool in my opinion if that could happen. And the next thing is like the other option, and it's something that was in the works, and that was the planned and then scrapped sequel crossover to Crisis on Infinite Earths. This was said that they were planning another crossover after Crisis that would happen in the next slot where they'd normally do crossovers, but then COVID went, no, that's not happening, I'm sorry, and they sort of just scrapped it and didn't go along with it. Now, no details were really ever supplied around what this would have specifically been, at least from what I know. I mean, this would be up to like Mark Guggenheim and company, because I think they were the ones working on it, I'm pretty sure. Or at least I know Mark Guggenheim was the one that talked about it initially, that they'd like had pictures and stuff to the sequel to Crisis. So I guess it'd be up to them if they had any sort of major plans to potentially reveal them. So maybe ask him, I'm not too sure. But that's another option there. If there was any sort of groundwork there, they could use that hypothetically in this hypothetical situation for a hypothetical movie or limited series. Sorry, I'm saying hypothetical too much, but I just know someone's in the comments going, this is never going to happen. We're just talking. But yeah, if this, what if or hypothetical situation was to ever happen, it'd be pretty interesting to see how they would go about it. And I mean, it'd be pretty cool just to see, even like a bit of a bigger budget and more advanced visual effects in certain areas and stuff, what they could do. And just seeing like that proper, like you get to see the Justice League properly come together and I guess be known with that. Like that'd be pretty cool. It's obviously it's a long shot of ever happening, but you never know. Stranger things have happened. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome. You could drop a like on it to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about this. Would you go watch an Arrowverse movie, I guess on limited series or on like a movie on a streaming service? And what story would you want to see? Do you have any other specific ones that I didn't mention? Let me know in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe and I will catch you guys later. Goodbye.